Okay, so get ready, because today we are looking into something pretty unusual. I mean, a business that combines legal documents with kid stuff.
Yeah, you don't see that every day.
No, not really.
Yeah. So this is Mobile Notary Derrick. They're a company that offers mobile notary services, but, and this is where it gets interesting, they've also got this whole children's brand called Little Notary Derrick.
And it is a pretty wild combo.
Yeah.
So before we get to the adorable little notary Derrick, can we just step back and talk about what a mobile notary even does? I mean, I think most of us know, but maybe not the specifics.
Sure. So mobile notaries, they handle all those essential things like verifying people's IDs, witnessing signatures, administering oaths, all the things that make legal documents, official and binding. But the key here is they come to you.
Yeah, it's all about convenience.
Exactly. It's so helpful for people who are busy, or maybe have trouble getting around. And in this case, Mobile Notary Derrick, they're specifically working in Loudoun, Fairfax, and Prince William counties in Virginia. So, they're really focused on that local market.
Yeah, and tapping into that whole on-demand service trend, ride-sharing, food delivery, basically. Yeah. The service comes to you.
Exactly.
Exactly. That's the practical side, right? But then there's the Little Notary Derrick side of things. And that's where things get interesting. A children's book series about a notary. I mean, that's not your typical bedtime story.
Right. It's definitely unconventional. They've got this series called The Great Adventures of Little Notary Derrick. And, it's got titles like The Saturday Garage Sale and The Permission Slip Debacle. I mean, they're taking like everyday situations that kids can relate to and adding like this legal spin to it. It's actually quite clever. I mean, they're introducing ideas like contracts and agreements and the importance of documentation, and it's all wrapped up in these like fun stories.
Yeah, and it's not just books.
No.
They've got Little Notary Derrick merchandise like everywhere. Walmart.com, their own website. T-shirts, mugs, mouse pads. They even have face masks. It's like they're creating this whole Little Notary Derrick world.
Yeah, and that speaks to this broader trend we're seeing, not just with entrepreneurs. I mean, it's everywhere, the power of personal branding.
Right.
You see chefs with their own cookware lines, fitness instructors with their own like online communities.
Yeah.
So Mobile Notary Derrick is taking that same idea and applying it to their business. They're using this children's brand to create a story, a personality, something that connects with people and maybe even builds like brand loyalty from, when kids are young.
And they're not afraid to be a little bit bold too.
No, they're not.
I mean, some of the merchandise is pretty quirky. They have this Good Question, a mouse pad that's designed by someone named Montez Travis Surth. I have to admit, I have no idea who that is.
Yeah.
And then there's the Learning with Derrick water bottle. It's very niche.
Yeah, it's definitely niche, but that could be part of its appeal.
Yeah.
And this whole collaboration with Montez Travis, whoever they are, I mean, it does make you wonder, are they like a local artist or maybe a children's book illustrator? I mean, it makes you think about how these partnerships play into their marketing plan.
So just to recap, we have this very unique mix. We've got this mobile notary service for busy families.
Right.
And we've got this children's brand that's trying to make legal stuff, fun and interesting for kids. Mm. But the question is, how do they balance those two?
Yeah.
I mean, you have the professional side of the notary service, and then you have the lightheartedness of the Little Notary Derrick brand.
Yeah.
Doesn't that risk making the main business seem less credible?
Well, that's a good point. It really is a balancing act. You want to keep that trust, that expertise that people associate with, legal things. But at the same time, you want to build a brand that's approachable, that families feel good about.
Right. And remember, they are targeting families with the mobile service. Mm. So maybe having this fun kid-friendly side actually helps with that trust. I mean, it shows they're not just some stuffy law firm, but real people who get what families need.
Yeah, I see what you mean. It makes the brand more human, more relatable, and when you think about it, a lot of legal documents, they are about family stuff wills,
Yeah.
trusts, power of attorney. So targeting families with both parts of the business, that could be really smart.
It's like they're creating this whole brand ecosystem, like Disney, those big children's brands.
Yeah.
You start with the main the notary service in this case,
right?
And then you build this whole world around it.
Exactly. And that's where the merchandise, the website, even these collaborations, like with this Montez Travis person, it all fits in. It's about creating that whole brand experience, not just offering a service.
And they're not afraid to take risks, which is cool to see. I mean, who would think to market notary services to kids?
Yeah.
But they're doing it. Mm-hmm. And they're doing it in a way that's clever and fun.
It really shows their creativity, that entrepreneurial spirit. And it'll be interesting to watch how this all plays out over time. Will Little Notary Derrick become like a household name? I mean, will we start seeing Little Notary Derrick lunchboxes and backpacks everywhere, or will it just be this niche thing, popular with families in that area of Virginia?
Only time will tell.
Yeah.
But I think there's something bigger here, regardless of whether Little Notary Derrick goes mainstream or not. I mean, it reminds us that innovation can come from anywhere. You never know where the next big idea will come from.
Absolutely. And sometimes the most unusual ideas, they're the ones that can really shake things up in an industry. And Mobile Notary Derrick is a perfect example of that. They've taken something that's, typically seen as boring and impersonal.
Right.
And they've given it personality, humor, and this real desire to connect with their community.
And they've done it without losing that professionalism. I mean, their website has as a legal disclaimer.
Yeah.
It says clearly that they're not lawyers and they don't give legal advice. So they're being upfront about what they do and don't do, but they're still building this fun brand experience.
It's a tough balance, and they seem to be doing it well. And it's interesting, those children's books, they're supposed to be released next year. So it'll be interesting to see how people react to Little Notary Derrick, in book form.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how they handle the educational part of the books. Can they make it informative and entertaining, or will kids actually learn something about legal stuff, or will it just be a fun story with this quirky character?
It's definitely a challenge, but if they can do it, it could be a big deal. I mean, imagine a whole generation of kids growing up with this positive feeling about legal concepts. It could make the whole legal system seem less mysterious, less scary. Maybe even inspire some future lawyers or judges.
Yeah, that would be something.
Yeah.
A whole generation of Little Notary Derricks running around, changing the world one notarized document at a time.
That's a fun thought. But even if that doesn't happen, I think Mobile Notary Derrick has already done something pretty amazing. They've shown that you can be professional and playful at the same time.
Yeah.
That you can offer a valuable service and still build a brand that people really connect with.
Yeah, it really shows you that you don't have to choose between, being serious and being engaging. You can do both.
Yeah.
And in a world where everyone's throwing marketing messages at us constantly, I mean, that kind of authenticity can really make a brand stand out.
Definitely. I think people, they want that connection, something real that they can relate to. And Mobile Notary Derrick, they get that by creating this whole world around what they do.
So it's like they've taken something that's usually seen as a chore. I mean, who likes dealing with legal documents?
Yeah.
And they've turned it into something fun,
Yep.
something you remember. And who knows, maybe Little Notary Derrick will start a whole new trend, kids' brands based on professional services.
Yeah.
I mean, why not? We could have little accountant Alice or Dr. Dan the dentist.
That would be interesting.
Right.
A whole new generation of kids growing up, and they actually like going to the dentist.
Yeah.
But even if that doesn't happen, I think Mobile Notary Derrick has given us a good lesson in branding and just entrepreneurial thinking.
I agree. So to wrap things up, what's the main thing you want our listeners to take away from this deep dive?
I think the biggest takeaway is that innovation, it can come from anywhere. It can be in any industry. So don't be afraid to think differently, to challenge how things are usually done and find new ways to connect with people. Mobile Notary Derrick is a great example of that. I mean, even something as ordinary as notary services, it can be turned into something really unique and interesting.
And on that note, we'll leave you with this thought. Next time you run into a problem or a challenge, try try looking at it from a different perspective. Ask yourself, how can I make this more fun? How can I make this more engaging, more relatable? You might just find the next little notary Derrick hiding right there in front of you. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, stay curious.